Hi, and welcome to the City Sculptors Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Williams. I am also the Director of Operations for 12th Street Heritage Development Corporation, but for the past 4 years, I have been immersed in the real estate and development world. That journey led me to this podcast, the City Sculptors. Here, we take a look behind the curtain and we talk to business owners, city leaders, construction workers, realtors, and developers, and we see what does this world really look like and how a city is shaped. So if you've ever wondered what she does seems kind of fun, or hey, I want to make a difference in my community and be a city leader, listen and subscribe and hit like, because here, me, you, and anybody listening can be a city sculptor. Welcome back to the City Sculptors Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Williams, and today we have Mayor Pro Tem and 5th District Councilwoman Raina Park Shaw.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So today we just kind of want to talk about your journey, your story. I feel like we have a few listeners and viewers who may want to follow in your footsteps. And so we just kind of want to hear, how did you become the first Black Mayor Pro Tem? How did you become a councilwoman? I know that you're a big advocate for healthcare, community development. I know you sit on several boards. But before you did all of that, how did your journey start, fresh out of college?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So actually, let me set the record straight early on. So as the Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Joanne Collins, actually, in her just for your viewers' sake, was the first African American woman councilwoman back in, I think she took her first term 1974.
Yes.
So over 50 years ago. And in that time, they rotated the office of Mayor Pro Tem. So she technically was the first Mayor Pro Tem, Black woman Mayor Pro Tem.
So we'll give her credit.
So I can say I'm the first appointed one for 4 years, but I want to make sure we give her credit.
Yes.
So to answer your question, what was I doing before? So I'm born and raised here in Kansas City and have been a resident, in the 5th District. Actually, raised my family. My husband and I have raised our family in the 5th District now for, over 20 plus years. And healthcare is what I do. Yes. Healthcare is I'm a servant at heart. And so serving the people, working as an executive, a senior healthcare executive in, managing, overseeing healthcare services. Specifically, I have a lot of experience in hospice care as well.
Okay.
And so that's what I was doing immediately before I became a city councilwoman.
So that healthcare journey, in some way, I think maybe coincide. Most people would not put those two together. So how did we go from healthcare to 5th District Councilwoman? Tell us about that journey.
Well, so the transparent statement is that I had been really for about 4 or 5 years really feeling like I had got to a point in my life where there were, I'd accomplished a lot of things, but I felt like there was a different purpose that God had for my life.
Okay.
And I had been feeling that way, and really trying to determine what else I should be doing. I felt like I should be giving more to the community. I never ever would have thought this was it, because I actually don't like politics, but I love serving the people. I love doing the work. Yes. And it just so happened that, so as you know, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and I was voluntold to serve on our committee, to serve as chair of a committee that works, to engage people in the political process, getting people registered to vote and trying to encourage social justice issues. And in my goal to try to be a good chairperson, the president of my chapters told me about a training that they had, and it just so happened it was in that next week, and she said, I'm going to sign you up for it and I'll go with you. And when I walked into the training, the lady that was showing us to our seat said, or when I first walked in, the lady that I kind of knew but didn't really know her said, "Oh my gosh, you should run for office. You will be so great because you're a leader. You bring people together. You should run for office." And the lady that was showing us to our seat said, "Oh, you should." I didn't really know her, but she said, "Oh yeah, you should. You should run." That my president said, "Yeah, you should run. You know what? I'll run your campaign." So anyway, ultimately, lo and behold, in those few minutes, I actually had a whole campaign team put together. The lady showing me to my seat actually became my social media person.
Okay.
And ultimately then became my legislative aide after that. And the lady who told me I should run for office became my volunteer coordinator. So we had a whole team assembled in that moment. And the power of that event was Congressman Cleaver was there. My predecessor, who at the time was Alicia Kennedy, was there. So all of these heavy hitters in politics were there conducting this training. And lo and behold, by the end of the training, they announced, well, Raina Park Shaw is going to run for office. And I never said no. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. Yeah. I just left from that meeting and started doing the work, and here I am.
I love that. So it's important to have people around you who kind of believe in you and maybe know you and see something in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself. But for our viewers who maybe are like, I do want to do this, is there another way that you can get into it?
Oh, for sure.
Just to be a city council person, or we are the city sculptors and we do believe everybody can sculpt their city. So your, passion for helping people that really brought on a lot between healthcare. You're a small business owner. You're very much in the community. That passion, how do you start if you want to become, being in city council?
So definitely, I encourage every person, if they have any feeling or inkling or excitement about, or even consideration about running for office, there are many offices that we need good, average, everyday working people to serve on. There's many decision-making tables that would benefit from the diversity of having multiple people there. So there's school board, there's county seats. And if there's somebody who's not quite sure and they want to get a feel for it, they're like in Kansas City, we have over 100 boards and commissions that they could, and it's about 1,000 different seats, different positions that they could serve on to see if this may be something that they like, or they could jump right in like I did and just and just go for it,
jump into the deep end.
Yeah, but just for your viewers' sake, if there's anybody that is interested, I'd be happy if they wanted to talk to me about it. I'd love to share, just because I think our democracy is at its best when there's more diversity at the table, especially when you have every average working people there, then I believe that our democracy is at its best in that way. So if I can help anybody, if they can feel free to call me and I'll guide them in the best way that I can.
I love that. And yes, so we will add your information in, so just so they know how to reach out. You talked about some of the people when you walked in, and you've already answered, they can reach out. But did you have any mentors that kind of helped you along that path? It seems like some of your mentors threw you in. And then once you got in, did you have any mentors that helped you along that path? Or how do you go about receiving a mentor for those who aren't necessarily in a sorority as we are? Or how do you find that mentor to help you?
So there are several organizations. One of the groups that helped me was Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet.
Okay.
They were very supportive and helped to provide guidance and information and support to me as I was kind of going through the process. But I also found support in former council members as well. While I didn't know Miss Joanne Collins until I became Mayor Pro Tem, once I learned about her, she actually has been a source for me, a source of she's been a leader for me in a way that I wouldn't have expected.
Right.
Because we ultimately I learned about her because people were correcting us when the news went out that, I was the first Mayor Pro Tem. People were like, no, Joanne Collins was. And in that, I reached out to her and ultimately apologized for not knowing her story and not understanding that. But she was so gracious, and she was, has been so welcoming to me that I actually just had an opportunity to see her just a few days ago. And, she's encouraging me and giving giving me insight, because it's funny, here it is 50 years later. Now, some of the things that she was dealing with are still some of the same things that we're dealing with today.
Yeah. So I feel like I know you, and you are somebody, when I say like, oh, if we post a picture, most people post it like, oh, I'm with the city council, I'm with the mayor pro tem. But you are somebody that almost everybody knows. I feel like most of the community knows you. How do you keep the community engagement going?
Well, so as I said when I started, I'm definitely a servant at heart. And I get my joy from being able to serve the people, and you can't serve the people unless you're out there with the people.
That is true.
So it's hard for me to say no. If I'm invited to something, even if I can only stay for a few minutes, I really try to make it across the city, and whatever those issues, whatever those events are that people invite me to. And so I think that's probably how many people know who I am. In addition to the fact, my husband actually has worked for the city for, I think now 27 years. And he has been serving the public, this city, for that, as formerly as the solid waste manager or director, and people know him. And so because a lot of people know him, because he's been out in the neighborhoods, out in the community, that actually I think helps people to know now that, I am mayor pro tem. Us together, people know both of us quite a bit, throughout the city.
That's good. And I love that people feel, connected to you. And this council, I feel like, I'm only 30, but maybe the first council that we feel like we're really in touch with and is engaged on social media and that we can have access to. So I always think that's good. But for the future, right now, Mayor Pro Tem and 5th District Councilwoman, but for the future, where do you see Kansas City going with your input right now as your councilwoman?
So, definitely, I'm here with City Sculptors, and I believe that, the next chapter of Kansas City is being built right now. I see, there's a lot of growth opportunity for Kansas City, a lot of economic development opportunity for Kansas City, and I believe that Kansas City is poised for all of that, the growth and opportunity that is available. So I'm excited about what's happening next with Kansas City.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit of business. You are also a small business owner. So our podcast, although, maybe not everybody wants to go into politics, maybe some people want to start a small business. Can you tell us about your journey there and how you wear multiple hats and make it work?
Sure. So, you know what, I oftentimes I joke about my small business experience, that it prepared me to be an elected official, because so first of all, my dad has been an entrepreneur. So I think I've been an entrepreneur at heart, and didn't really realize that. But my journey into my small business ventures started with Avon. I've been and still, actually, I'm still an Avon lady. And, I started really to have a home-based business that would just kind of give me, something fun to do as I, was having my kids, and just give me a home-based business to have something fun, something extra to do. But I love knocking on doors, meeting people. And I knocked on so many doors that I had so many customers that I couldn't service them all out of my home. So I actually opened 2 Avon stores.
Okay.
And so I had one in Zona Rosa in Kansas City, and I had another at a shopping center in Independence. And, had both of those businesses for about 11 years. And of course, as people started shopping more online, I moved, my business became online. But I still service Avon clients. Most of them are online today, but I will deliver to a few of my customers that don't actually use the internet as well, or aren't as comfortable. But I love the Avon business. I just love the concept of it and being an entrepreneur. But that was the start of it. So that was literally, I've been an Avon representative. I want to say now it's probably been 25 years now. And and we'll continue to do that. But my husband and I also are partners in the Crab Kings in KCK, Kansas City, Kansas. And, while the world was scared of what was going on with COVID, we decided in June of 2020 to open our restaurant, open the business, and it's going strong today. Here it is. We will be celebrating 5 years here in June of this year.
Love that. So we still got to get you a pink Cadillac, though, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? So Avon doesn't do. We can pick whatever color car we want.
Okay.
Yeah, well. That's Mary Kay. But I would take a pink. I would take a pink Cadillac.
Okay.
Especially being a member of AKA.
We love that.
Yeah.
So, small business owners, can you tell us what is one thing that a lot of people don't know about the city and how they help small business owners? Went to the 5th District meeting that you guys had. That was my first one I've ever been to, and I put it on social media. I think everybody should go to their district meetings. But what is some help that's free that a lot of the public don't know if you have a small business?
Excellent question, because Kansas City has a biz care office that is a team of people that will actually help small businesses to get whatever information they need to get their business license, to become registered with the city, also to be certified if they have a minority or women-owned business and they want that certification. They have teams that are established to help people to get their businesses started and off the ground.
Okay, so KC Biz is the way to go. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for insight. That's free, right?
That's right. That is
free.
The other thing that, I know as a small business owner myself, many times we have challenges of not having the access to cash, to capital, or needing additional resources. And they also have programs, which actually I've been proud to be able to sponsor legislation to create funding opportunities for small businesses. So I would encourage them to go to kcmo.gov and they can look up BizCare and they can find information about access to low interest loans or even grants. Like we've given out grants to organizations as well to help them either grow or scale their businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of our community, yes. of any community, with given all of the workforce that they hire, all of the tax revenues that they generate for our cities. And so it's important to make sure that we have a city that supports our businesses. And that is definitely one of my priorities as well, is making sure we're supporting our businesses, large and small.
Love that. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. So people who may want to go into politics, we've kind of answered some of those. Small business owners, we've kind of answered some of those. And then maybe people who just want to be a difference in the community. Mm-hmm. And you've worked on important efforts like to reduce homelessness, the Zero KC plan. Can you tell us kind of about that and how it's going?
Sure. Excellent question. I am excited to talk about that. Unfortunately, we know we have an affordable housing crisis in our country, and Kansas City is no different than any other city where we don't have enough housing stock that will allow people to live affordably. Mm-hmm. And we, with the pandemic, we are seeing, and now inflation, so many people are unfortunately becoming unhoused. And the Zero KC plan that was established under my leadership by the Houseless Task Force that we created, I want to say it was back in 2020. We worked for about a year and a half assessing the community, assessing the needs. And ultimately, what the Zero KC plan is built on a program called Built for Zero. And ultimately what it means is that it's net zero. So we have no more people entering homelessness than those who are exiting homelessness. Okay. So we have, the same number of people that are getting housed, we have no more that are entering homelessness. And the goal is to get to that level. Okay. So the exciting thing is that Kansas City was able to accomplish that many years ago. I guess it's probably been about 8 or so years ago now. We were able to accomplish that with our veteran population. So we know that we can do it. Yes. But when the resources dried up, all of the resources really went away, and we unfortunately lost that that accreditation. So the program is really, it's a collaborative model that's built to bring in the key stakeholders, the key organizations that are working within the community to assist our unhoused individuals, to help them get, stable employment, and, create a sustainable life for them at whatever their needs are. Now, you asked the question, how's it going? We've had a lot of accomplishments, but we still got a long way to go.
Okay.
We have a long way to go. So I think the program is now, we're 2-3 years in now with the implementation. And your question is timely because we will be having a business session with the council to talk about where we are, and we'll be updating the plan. I'm trying to pull together the task force and have them to update the plan to look at, what can we take off the list? What are the things now with the new economy, the way that it is with all of the changes with the new president? What are the things that we need to add to the list now? What things need to be adjusted? And so I look at really by the end of the year that we will have that team up and going, and they'll be updating those strategies.
Okay. So is this a program that a couple people, I know people who may own a house and they're in the real estate. Can they rent it out? Can they partner with the city and say, hey, I want to be a part of this program. I have homes. And can they partner on this program?
They definitely could.
Okay.
So we have one of the strategies that we also created, not necessarily actually under the Zero KC plan, but one of the initiatives to address the affordable housing is the housing locator service.
Okay.
Because, in my work as mayor pro tem, or actually as the councilwoman, this was before I became mayor pro tem, but one of the things I learned was that the real estate company, the real estate organization, there's a couple of groups that are responsible for about 100,000 housing units in the region, not just Kansas City. And one thing that they told me is that on any given day, 8 to 10% of that housing stock sits vacant, waiting on others to, waiting to be rented again. Yeah. So the program that we worked on, creating the housing locator service, kind of works like Zillow. So if there are property owners that have housing available, they can become a part of the housing locator service, and it's free, it's simple to do. They can put their units there, and then individuals who need housing are able to go in, and search for housing at that time. And then we have tenant advocates, landlord advocates that actually help to try to make the connection to and also do some training to make sure that those relationships work, because we know that not every there's a lot of challenges in that, especially for our unhoused population. But that is something that we put together that we are really working to try to even add some incentive opportunities for some of those property owners as well. That's some legislation that we had that's actually sitting right now with because we had some challenges with the state. But ultimately, that was something that our council had passed to provide $1 million out for property owners who wanted to rent to individuals through this program. But ultimately, I believe that we'll be able to kind of revive that, kind of update the program, and then be able to get those dollars distributed.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's always hard when you talk about affordable housing and development and different things like that. Some people have a vision. You kind of sit on both sides where affordable housing is needed in development and the growth of Kansas City. But also as council person, we always want to push our city forward and to be a bigger city. How do you handle that with a lot of feedback from current residents of what they may want, what they don't want when new development comes into town or when you guys propose new development?
Those are definitely some challenges that we have to deal with. If we want our city to grow, we've got to make some of the tough decisions. And so definitely when we talk about affordable housing, just the word affordable housing now has suddenly become a bad word now. Yeah. And so we're having to even modify our language just because, neighborhoods that NIMBYism or not in my backyard is a real thing. And, it seems like it started with with homelessness. People didn't want, any shelters near them or, we were talking at one time about doing pallet shelters. Nobody wanted that. Now what I'm finding is as we have developments that are, that we say are, for affordable housing, we've got some neighborhoods that are pushing back so hard on it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you one thing that I had somebody say to me about 2 weeks ago. That's a quote that I'm going to continue to use. Is that what he said is if you don't have affordable housing in your backyard, you're going to have unhoused in your front yard. And that's exactly what we see.
That's exactly
what we're seeing. And so, and I hadn't really looked at it or said it in that way. But, to me, what that says is elected officials at the decision-making table, we have to have the political will to make the decision that we have to make. Definitely, I agree with working with the community, with working with the neighborhood, engaging them, giving them a voice. But I know that there is definitely it's important to ensure that we create housing for everyone. Yeah. That's something we have to do. So me and my colleagues, we're going to have to make some tough decisions sometimes, and that's what it takes. As the chair of the Neighborhood Planning and Development Committee, that's one of the things that we have to do.
And I love that because everybody deserves to be housed. It's a necessity. And on that note, we are going to take a break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the City Sculptors Podcast. I am still your host, Alexis Williams, and we still have with us Mayor Pro Tem and 5th District Councilwoman Raina Park Shaw. So where we left off, we kind of talked about your journey. We were kind of talking about, how you got started, healthcare to the public service. We talked about development, how you're a change for your community, a small business owner. There's so many things that you've done within the community and that you're doing still currently, and just one for the people. So how can people follow in your footsteps or just the footsteps in general to make a change in their community? How can we activate the younger people to do that?
I think that's a great question because I think that's one of the things that's concerning to me as an elected official is, as I'm watching to see how even like in this last election that we just had, while definitely, the voters that voted overwhelmingly supported the public KCPS school bond at 85%, the reality is that when you look at who came out in Kansas City, who came out to vote, only 8% of the people actually came out to vote.
Wow.
So, people deciding not to vote actually is a vote. Yes. And the reality is the 92% that voted, made the decision for the 8% that came out made the decision for the 92% that decided to stay home. So it is a vote. They actually voted, really chose to let somebody else speak for them. And so with that, that's one of the reasons why I am out in the community. And I believe that the work that we're doing today is about the next generation. The decisions we make now will impact, my grandkids and their kids and grandkids. And so it's important to ensure that we get as many people engaged in that process. So what I would encourage your listeners and anybody who is, doubts or is not sure about the process is, first of all, as elected officials, we're paid by the tax dollars. So even if they're not voting, if they're buying anything, if they're, wherever they're living, they are supporting our salaries. So we work for them. So if there's something they don't like in their community or on their street or whatever it is, to call their elected official because we are here to represent them. Call their elected official, get involved, and hold us accountable. I mean, that's the point. They need to hold their elected officials accountable if they're concerned about anything. But let's just say things are going great. Yeah. You can call us and tell us that too.
Love to hear it. Positive reinforcement before you complain or before we hold you accountable. We got to hold ourselves accountable and get out and vote. 8% is a crazy low number that I did not know. Yeah, that's kind of sad.
It actually is pretty sad, but it makes you ask. I mean, when I go out and I talk to my son's friends, and obviously they're a little bit more engaged now because of me, and because my kids now see both sides of it, and they see the fact that on the city council we literally pass about 40 new laws every single week. Oof. 40 laws that impact your day-to-day life. Now, a lot of people will go out and vote in the presidential election, but they don't understand the impact of the laws that are in their own backyard or in their front yard, so to speak. Because I mean, literally, we are changing, have the ability to really impact their lives more so than a presidential election. Yeah. Because we handle things to make sure the water's running, that they can take a shower, that they can drink fresh water. We handle the trash. I mean, if we weren't doing our jobs effectively, we'd have trash all over the city. And there we wouldn't have the recycling opportunities that we have. We wouldn't have the development that we have going on in the city. And so, there's a lot of things that your elected officials do that impact your life that people just don't realize. And so I would tell people to get started. They can go for Kansas City, they can go to the kcmo.gov website. If they live outside of Kansas City, they can look up their municipality or their county and see who their elected officials are and call them, give them a call and say, I want to meet you. I want to hear who you are. I want to hear about what your priorities are. That would be a good way to get started.
Yeah. I know my parents are probably appreciative of the trash bins. They live in 5th District, and that's new, the trash and recycle bins. So even those small things, the fact that you guys have an impact on that is talk to your local city council. So kind of encourage our viewers and listeners, what does a city sculptor mean to you, and how can they be a city sculptor?
So, I think at the very essence, to me, what a city sculptor means would be someone who is engaged in the future of the city, somebody who wants to see our city change. I want, and improve. And so, when I'm talking to the little kindergarten class, the kindergarten kids, they can be city sculptors. And I encourage them to be a city sculptor. We talk about parks, and we talk about how they like to play in a clean park. Yeah. So I encourage them to be a city sculptor by making sure they don't litter. Yep. And if they see trash, to help pick it up, and put it in the trash can. So I think even at a basic level, we all can be city sculptors by to help improve our city.
Thank you for that. Anybody can be a city sculptor. That is our tagline. So let's do a recap and tell our city sculptors about you as the city sculptor who is 5th District Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem. You are an advocate for housing, healthcare, and neighborhood development. You are on several community boards, and you are helping shape Kansas City with a passion and purpose. And is there anything else that I am missing that you would like to add to this list?
Well, first of all, let me just thank you for inviting me to share with you my journey and my story.
Thank you for being here.
And I appreciate your viewers for watching, if they're still watching.
Yes, they are. They will.
If they're still watching. But yeah, definitely, you mentioned, as a healthcare executive, I'm born and raised here in Kansas City. I'm a former union member, born and raised in a union household. I'm a mom. I'm a mother. I am a small business owner. Yes. I'm actually a landlord. I'm a property owner as well. We own property in Kansas City. And, someone who truly cares about Kansas City. And as the 5th District Councilwoman, I've been serving in this role for 6 years now. And because Kansas City does have term limits, I will be terming out of this position in 2027 when Mayor Lucas also terms out in 2027. And because I believe that I still have more work to do and that I can continue to sculpt this city, I have decided to run for to be the next mayor of Kansas City. So I will be running for mayor in 2027.
We'd love to
and
hear it.
am excited about that journey and what's next for Kansas City.
Thank you so much. So you heard it here first. Our listeners and viewers, you guys have heard it here first. We are sitting next to the next mayor of Kansas City. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it on here so I can play it again in 2 years.
Okay.
The next mayor of Kansas City. Yes.
You literally got the first interview. It's the first time I've actually said it behind the camera, so and a microphone.
I love that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
You heard it here first.
Thank you for being a part of City Sculptors. We truly appreciate it, and I hope that this message reached somebody and maybe spark their interest and just let them know that at any level we can all be city sculptors.
We all can be.
Thank you again for joining us, and you are watching the City Sculptors Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the City Sculptors. If you've ever thought about how our city shaped or thinking about a new career path, this podcast is for you. We upload every second and fourth Monday. I'm your host, Alexis Williams, and this is the City Sculptors Podcast.